Yo, yo, welcome to Third Coast Sports TV. I see you in here, Tenny. Um, yeah, I just made it in here. I had to push it back a few minutes, man. Had to take care of some shit with the kids. You know how they go. But I want to delve into this Andre Johnson on Arian Foster. Shout out to Arian Foster for a great interview that he did with Andre Johnson. Of all the people he could have interviewed, I was waiting on Andre Johnson the longest. Even more so than that DeAndre Hopkins video. I love that video. I love the Dwayne Brown video. But this was the video that true Houston Texans fans been waiting on if you've been following that podcast for quite some time. What's going on, Penny? What's going on? What's going on, bro? Man, yeah, I just went live. Yeah, I just went live. I had to push it back a few minutes. I had to, take care of the kids and get them straight, change my son diaper and all of that little good shit. What's going on, Mr. Killer KB? Welcome to Third Coast Sports TV. I'm your host, Wink. We got to talk about this video just in case for everybody. I'm gonna end up putting a link in the description once this video is over, so y'all can check out the podcast that Arian Foster did with Andre Johnson, just in case y'all hadn't seen it. And I see you, Spitz, and you like right when I was getting ready to go live, I seen your video had got uploaded. All good, getting ready to grind here in 2 hours. Okay, okay, all right, that's what's up. Yeah, man. It was a great interview. He talked about a lot of aspects of life and being on that podcast, just talking about familyhood and how he made it, and is money really everything? Um, he talked about the Cortland Finnegan situation. That shit was funny. Um, he talked about free agency and guys not bringing dudes in here to make the team more complete than it already was to add to the success of this football team. He also talked about almost not because of Bob McNair's comments. He almost didn't even do the ring of honor ceremony. When we in that it was the Cardinals game, and he did a ring of ceremony at halftime. Yeah, it was hands down my favorite. My favorite of all his shows is this show. I can almost say a close second was the Dwayne Brown show, but I'll give Nuke the show because it was so early on and it was during the season. So now that we have there are 6 players in the Houston Texas organization who pretty much backed up or confirmed what's going on with. And it's like 5 or 6 players who already backed up and confirmed, shit that Bob McNair has done over his tenure as a as the owner of the Houston Texans. The first people I heard to really speak out of the situation wasn't even Dwayne Brown. First people I heard to talk about it personally was David Anderson and Chris Myers on Radio 610, and they did both of the, and they did those shows on the Triple Threat. I want to say they did it on the Cody Stew show, and I definitely I want to say I know Chris Myers definitely gave an interview on Mad Radio with what's their names? Y'all know their names. Y'all listen to the shit. Forgot their names. It's not even relevant really to the point. And it's sad to say that when the majority of Caucasians were coming out talking about Bob McNair and his comments, nobody had nothing to say about that. But it was just like the moment that the black players and what's going on, Texas boy, what's going on? Appreciate you coming on through the stream. Y'all hit that like button. There's 70 y'all up in here, bro, and I only got 2 likes. Y'all go ahead, y'all hit that like button. And it's a shame that when the Caucasian players were talking about Bob McNair and his comments, David Anderson went in full depth, and so did Chris Myers. They didn't back down, and Owen Daniels just recently came out and talked about the shit that old buddy was doing, behind the scenes that nobody else could see. But it's so funny that all of this shit is coming out now because, like I said in my last stream, what's in the dark is gonna come to the light. And at the end of the day, he couldn't fake being PC anymore. He can't fake it anymore. Like he's tired of being fake. He know he got money. What's going on, Wise? What's going on, Kyle? What's good, fellas? He at this point, Bob McNair is just tired of living a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like Kyle, what's good? Yeah, I mean he's really tired of it, and you could tell, and that's why he's doing all these retractions. And when Andre Johnson got to talking about how he felt about it. And when he said that he didn't want to do the ring honor ceremony, I was like, whoa, and they was, and even though this man, I didn't even know beforehand he really wanted to be traded like that. The fact that he came out and talked about this, because I can't believe speculative rumors, that haven't been confirmed, and I didn't hear his man say it. I actually heard this man on camera with a microphone in his face and a video recording him that, he wanted trade, he wanted out of this organization. You know what I'm saying? Like in the last 2 and 14 season that we had, and it was just eye popping. Was saying with all the when they got to talking about the Houston Texans, the type of information that he was divulging, and I'm glad he did it, because a lot of things that we went over as Texans fans, and a lot of us Texas tools have been talking about. Some of us have been, supportive of Rick Smith. Some of us haven't. You know what I'm saying? And before really a situation I could really go in. But it's not that I didn't see that myself, in prior seasons before Brian Gaine took over in 2014, that free agents weren't being brought in. Money wasn't really being spent, and he was talking about, how the 2011 season was the season that they saw that they really had the best hope to win. And he even went as far as to say, like, Arian Foster had went as far as to say, if Mario and Matt Sharp that season don't go down, they win the championship, which was, I think, pretty much was, everybody was in agreement with that. Many rich guys ain't like banks gonna pay the rich as elitists. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Tenny. You know the game. You know how it goes. And it was crazy that you can't hear me. Okay, well, let me go ahead now. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous that for all these years, that they weren't bringing in so many of these dudes. And as I was saying, like, Andre was like, man, if Matt didn't go down in that season, I got it cranked all the way up. Yeah, I got my volume all the way up on my end. You might have to cut your stuff up, but it was just crazy just to know, that they felt that those chances and the things that we had going on, and all the successes and failures, and he just stuck through this shit. And a lot of dudes weren't really out here, trying to take credit away from him. I seen fans as far as to say that Andre Johnson was selfish and this and that, when he knew his talent was being wasted. He knew like, I like when they got to the schematic portion of the podcast, when they were talking about, when Arian Foster asked him, he was like, "Hey, did you feel you were being properly utilized here in Houston?" And it's your distance from the mic. That's what they're saying. Oh, okay. What, I need to be closer? Is that better for y'all? Because that because I just brought it a little closer. And what he was saying was that he was like, I didn't really have a problem, the way I was used. I just hated the fact that they didn't really use me in the red zone. And he was kind of joking with Arian Foster, was like, yeah, you was taking all the damn shine, all the red zone shit away, because they was running the ball in them instances. But he wasn't tripping though, because he was like, if we were scoring. He was like, so I mean, how would I look, saying, yo, give me the ball when we out here scoring and we doing our thing and we putting points on the board? It didn't make no sense, to really to complain about it then, in terms of his different production, and why he didn't have as many touchdowns as he know he could have had, but I guess it was all part of the process. And they also talked about all the guys that they ended up letting go, like D'Amico and Jacoby and all of these guys. And, they saw that, all these guys left, and they went off to go win Super Bowls elsewhere, So at that point in time, that was definitely Rick's fault for letting these guys go. I'm willing to even concede that, because, I mean, who else's responsibility is it really on? It was on Rick to keep those players, find a way to keep them, and we were having a certain amount of success while they were here. So you get rid of them, and you have to, like, start all over again. And one of the things that he was saying that was kind of alluding, because the reason why he wanted to trade wasn't even necessarily the when he talks about wanting to be traded, but they didn't want to let him go. It was the only reason he wanted to be traded, because he could see what the writing on the wall if a new regime came in, and you know, you clearly saw how things were going when Bill O'Brien first came here. because before Bill O'Brien came here, they used to have, the guys all on NRG. They used to have their posters and all of that little shit, showing their accomplishments. When Bill O'Brien got here, they took all that shit down. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit was just completely different. It was a totally different situation than what he was used to. And the player at his a player at his caliber, I honestly can't blame him for feeling the way that he felt. I mean, Drew had did everything in the community. He was an outstanding leader in the locker room. He was producing, and he was the most respected Texan until that time. He put the Houston Texans on the map by himself. Along with others, Dante Culpepper, Aaron Glenn, and a few other guys. When we got Mario, and things started trending up, and we got Brian Cushing. Shit was starting to change during the latter part of his career, but by then the damage was already done. And I don't know how many of y'all actually saw the interview, but if I'm definitely gonna end up posting this shit. I'm probably gonna end up having to edit this video. I already got the link saved, and y'all can go in and go check out the full interview in its entirety. It's like close to an hour, and it was a real good ass interview, man. I couldn't wait for this shit because it was needed for Texas fans, because I've always wanted to hear Andre Johnson's opinion when it came out to the Houston Texans. His I, ain't nobody commenting though. Is everything right? Is the stream looking all right? Cause I ain't seeing no comments. Normally comments should be coming in, but I ain't seeing no comments. Oh yeah, and Spitz, yeah, I definitely at that barbecue that they had oh, I definitely would have, definitely, bro, definitely. It was crazy to see that it was real crazy to see that and hear that how uncomfortable Bob McNair was throughout that whole situation. Just to know that they were throwing a barbecue, which we would have never known if Andre Johnson wouldn't even have spoke about it. The fact that they were all out there and they were jamming "Presidents is Black," and they had the shit on repeat, the whole time, and Cal, he said they did say Cal was that was who they was talking about, right? Yeah, he said Cal too, right? Confirm that Wise, if he meant, because when he said Cal, but I wasn't even thinking, it didn't even register that he was talking about Cal McNair. That didn't even register in my mind. So now we're gonna end up having a new situation, but I'm gonna get into that in just a second. The fact that Cal McNair and Bob McNair were clearly bothered by this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, Republicans and guys that are billionaires like Bob McNair, you're not suffering no losses. Like, what do you care? At the end of the day, it was when Obama was in there, it was still ran by Republicans because it's the House ran Congress. A lot of laws and a lot of things couldn't be passed through Obama because the fucking House of Representatives were mainly Republican. So how could you? It was still a Republican. It was still a Republican tenure, even though we had a Democratic president. That's what kills me about people that love to sit here and say shit about Obama this, Obama that, bro. Republicans were running this shit. What are you talking about? Like, but I digress. I don't even want to get into that. They had the House and the Senate, exactly, and the House and Senate are the ones who run Congress, not the president. Last time I checked, yeah, the president can veto laws. He can approve bills. He can do this. He can sign off some shit, but can't shit go through him without going through Congress first. And who runs that? Okay. So, so all these people like to just sit here and act like presidents got all this power. They only have power that's given to them. You don't just have power just cause. Trump able to do whatever the fuck he want to do because people in his political party are still running shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's in he's afforded to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. Yeah, it's a corporation. They're the face of a corporation. That you're exactly right. That's all America is, bro. It's just a corporation. It is not a country. It's not an entity. This land is stolen, pillaged, raped, slavery, all kind of crazy shit. It ain't even real history here. But I digress. I don't even want to get into all that. Andre just he gave me such a profound look at shit that was going on behind doors in the Houston Texans organization that we needed to hear it. And you're right, Tinny. It just didn't go his way this time. You know what I'm saying? And it was, I mean, it's his situation with how he turned out. You know, he didn't have any commercials while he was here. He wasn't propped up as this player. I know he was a quiet player, but Megatron was quiet. Larry Fitzgerald is quiet. Um, there are plenty of NFL wide receivers that are quiet. AJ Green is quiet. Honestly, Antonio Brown is quiet. Julio is quiet. And these guys are at the top of their game. Antonio Brown only gets highlights when he's twerking in the end zone. If we're gonna be real, Antonio Brown don't ain't causing no problems. You're not hearing anybody. DeAndre Hopkins, these dudes are quiet. They're all quiet. Odell is the only Odell is the only player within that top realm of receivers that has any sort of controversy or is looked at as a so-called diva. I can't call a man a diva because you essentially calling another grown man a bitch, and that's how I take it. I mean, anybody calling another grown man a diva, I mean, use your choice of words because if depending on what type of man you are, if a man calls you a diva, you gonna feel some kind of way because he really saying you got a vagina between your legs. I mean, so, I mean that is what it is. But um, what kind of really stood out to me was like when they really just didn't want to add too many pieces, and when they felt that they could just go through the draft and just add pieces and do this and do that, and you weren't really seeing the benefits because all the guys that they had already been developing, that had developed into good players, were being shipped out of here because contracts weren't being given at the time, and it's crazy to say that that does lie on Rick Smith's shoulders for doing that because he could have kept a lot of those players around, especially in terms of the pass rush, especially considering what we've added later on and how we've drafted after 2011. It seemed like after 2011, drafts were way better before 2011, drafts weren't nowhere near what they should have been. But afterwards, they were getting a hell of a lot better, and we were getting premium players. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess it was because he felt that so many bad contracts and players weren't panning out for them. He just felt that he couldn't take the risk, but he started taking the risk over the last couple of years. And it was clear, that he knew these risks needed to be taken because it was just in his best interest and in the team. You really can't rest all your laurels and believing in 1 year players when they haven't proven anything on the field. And if you get people to fit your scheme, people can work out. The only thing that's gonna hinder any of that progress is health. Health is a major factor, and you can't always even take health into the equation when you building a football team. Because some dudes get injured early on in their careers, like Drew Brees was getting injured, and they don't turn out getting injured really like that ever again. So you really can't even say that injury plagues absolutely every single scenario and situation. Because if you're building a football team, one person going down on either side of the ball should not dictate what your season turns out to be. It was absolutely crazy. And I knew we had a solid team the year that JJ went down the first time in the 16 season because we still went 9-7. With JJ, we probably could have won that Packers game and that Packers game and that Chargers game because those were real close games, and we probably could have pulled those games out had we had a little bit more pass rush. But the fact that we didn't just goes to show that the team was built the right way. because that team, they were making it seem like, you know, without JJ being here, how the hell can they win? Because the moment that they came out, that's exactly what people were saying. Like, how the hell can the Houston Texans win if JJ's not on the field? And it was absolutely ridiculous that they were saying that, and they ended up looking wrong, and we ended up going to the playoffs and winning the game and making it to a divisional round with Brock Osweiler, and that was the worst part of it. Even with a team led by Brock Osweiler, was still able to get to the playoffs, win a game, and win a game handily, regardless of who was on the field. And it was a crazy year. We were missing J.J. John Simon, J. Joe, and exactly, exactly. And the fact and coaching on the defense is what really prevailed in the end, because we can't sit here and act like the offense was really giving us something to write home about. You know, the defense did everything they could do that was within their power to do, and we just made it shake for what it was. And I really can't say too much about that whole little situation because it's past us now. We're in a totally different direction, and I'm feeling good about Romeo coming back, man. I mean, I wanted that from the get go. When I think about it initially, the worst thing that the Houston Texans could have did in last season was take him out of and ruin the continuity. Now the continuity has to be built back up, and dudes have to learn and adjust in a totally different way now. You know what I'm saying? And that was unfair to the players last year. If we being real, whoever made these choices, Bill O'Brien making these choices and deciding to move on these dudes because he and elevating dudes who hadn't even earned that right is absolutely ridiculous to me. And I just hope that that situation never happens again because you can't afford to let good coaches walk when they haven't even proven anything. Like, what is this guy proving? Like, he didn't deserve to be over the defense when he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that because he was doing shit right with Bernard and McKinney and this and that. We saw the fruits of his labor last year when he couldn't perform and we ended up going from the number one defense to the very last defense. And detractors and people outside of Houston love to say, oh, well, he didn't have talent. Oh, well, J.J. Watt wasn't in the game. Nigga, we didn't have J.J. in the Watt game last year. And look what they went. And they were still number one without him. That just goes to show you that JJ is not the end all be all for this team, and that's what I hate. I hate that when people talk about the Houston Texans, they make it seem like JJ Watt is the only reason why we winning, and we know that ain't true. JJ Watt ain't putting no points up on no board. He did that in one season, and that was an outlier season. He'll never have no season like that ever again, and we all as Texans fans know that season will never happen again. Anybody still believing that J.J. Watt can play up to that bill is lying to themselves first, and they lying to the public when they go out and they tell everything else had us flying with Ross, and I don't see exactly, Tenny, and exactly Wise. It ain't no more excuses. It ain't no more excuses. It ain't no more this. It ain't no more that. Just take sole responsibility. Say you weren't good enough to do what you needed to do and move on. And what's going on, Berkeley boss? Man, but that was a great show by Arian Foster, man. I'm like I said, I'm definitely gonna put it. Yeah, you're right. It is gonna be tough for him to get 10 sacks. It is gonna be able. It's gonna be hard for him to get 10 sacks. I can't wait till they get that defensive structure back. A lot of shit that they got away from will not be tolerated. Oh yeah, you absolutely right, Mr. Killer KP. You are so right about that. In terms of discipline, this is going to be a disciplined football team. All them missed tackles and whiff tackles and all of that shit that we saw last year, we are not going to see that this season. It's not going to happen. He could still be that good, but the odds are he won't. No, he can never be that good anymore. It's over. That's over. That's over, Robbie. That them days are over. He will never be that again. The best chance he had to be that again was the 2015 season, the last year he got when he had that club on his hand. That was his last year where he could have played up to that potential, and he honestly could have hit 20 sacks again had he not had that damn club on his hand for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, it's absolutely ridiculous that, you know, we were put in these situations, but we had dudes step up on this football team. A lot of no-name guys, dudes like Eddie Pleasant and guys like that were stepping up, but they'll never get the credit that they would do because, they not no big names on this defense. I know who they are, but they were coming up in key situations but won't get their credit, which is absolutely ridiculous. And we got to start talking about this team as a team. You can't just single out names and say that dudes are not contributing on this football team when it's clear that they are. Demps, major contributor. Major contributor. But, he didn't even get the proper respect he deserved, and he was the offensive player of the month. He didn't get the respect he deserved at all. Nobody was talking about Quentin Demps like that when he was here. Watch him packing the blocks and draws and TFLs he can get. Yeah, he can definitely get those. I'm not taking no more than mediocrity. There's too much talent on this team. If we don't go 11-5 minimum, then I agree. I'm gonna give it 10-6 just because it'll be O'Brien's. Anything less than 10-6 is a complete failure. I don't even care if you go to the AFC Championship. The fact that your record indicates when you have the easiest schedule again twice in 5 years, and you go 9-7 again. The first time we went 9-7 with Bill O'Brien, I was cool with it because we were 7 wins better than we were in the prior season. Couldn't be mad. That's the only season where I was actually satisfied with Bill O'Brien, where I was kind of like, okay, this man can get some shit done. But what I saw him do the next 3 years after that, I couldn't defend him anymore. I was defending him at first. I'm like, okay. He did this with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andre Johnson in his latter part of his years. We saw DeAndre Hopkins step up. The defense played stellar. We were number one against, we're number one in takeaways. We were great. We were just a great defense that year. We still may have a bad run game, but they will probably get a running back committee. I think so. I think that's going to end up being the situation, but I think Foreman is just going to step the hell up and take his game to a new level. I just think that for him, and we're going to end up seeing, because hopefully his Achilles and everything else holds up, and, he can find a way where he can stay healthy through the season and just perform. We shouldn't be going 9-7 with all this talent on this team. Yeah, we shouldn't. And that's why people who go to bat and say that, oh, boy is a great coach, they're lying. You are a liar. You're lying. You can't justify anything, bro. He's the reason we got these carousel of quarterbacks. He handpicked them all. He could have developed Tom Savage way earlier than he did, but he just let him sit back on the roster. He just let him sit back there. We could have knew what we had in Tom Savage 2 years ago. We could have knew about him 2 years ago. He could have took over Brock Osweiler's spot. I know he had the elbow issue. He got that infection and all that. But honestly, bro, if we looking at what he did, and just because you paying somebody $30-something million guaranteed does not mean that they supposed to start for your football team if they don't have the talent to do so. And that's what this man does on a consistent basis. He thinks that's because dudes got contracts and dudes is making money out here that other guys can't outplay them. It was clear that Charles James was outplaying Jamal Rowe in camp the year that he was supposed to make the squad, and then the moment that Charles James came back, special teams got better and we were winning games. We went on like a 4-game winning streak when he came back after that Cincinnati game. So I mean, yeah, I was iffy about Savage from the get-go, from the moment we drafted him to the moment I saw him he couldn't even hand the ball off in Indianapolis when he had to take Ryan Fitzpatrick's place in that game. And then he ended up getting hurt after that game. I was just like, bro, this dude right here, he's trash. I was like, he can't even hand the ball off. I mean, yeah, true enough, he ended up making a couple of good throws in that game. You could see his arm talent, and his arm talent was never the question. He's just a scary quarterback. He doesn't have any confidence in himself, regardless of what he tells the media, and he has horrible footwork. He throws the ball entirely too slow. It's not that he has no wind-up or nothing like that. It's just that he's not good at making quick decisions. He's not. It doesn't make any sense, man. Robbie, it would be nice, but I hope he has matured as a player and uses his mind and know how to succeed. Who was you talking about? JJ White might make everyone look stupid. I'm telling you, as a special person, has the effect. Bro, Robbie, it's over. Like, just come to the reality, bro. Just come, bro. Do you know what position he plays? He plays D lineman. It's not. It's he's not the same player. He could have proved that last year. It was more than enough it was more than enough pressure in those 5 games that he played where he could have been making sacks. He could have been doing this. He could have been doing that. He couldn't get there like he used to. He couldn't finish plays the way that he used to. Sure, he was splitting the defense. Sure, he was getting there. Sure, he was creating pressure for other players, and that's a plus. But for his own production, he's not there anymore. He's not there anymore. I hope he proves me wrong, but I know he won't. I know he won't. I don't even see him making it past 8 or 9 games this season. I don't. I don't see him playing. I just don't. I don't. He doesn't put fear in teams anymore like that. Jadavian Clowney does, but not J.J. Watt after these 2 injury riddle seasons back to back. Ain't nobody worried about J.J. Watt no more. You missed my point. I wouldn't be shocked if he does, but you're right. Yeah, no, I saw when you say that, but I don't. It's not even a likelihood that he could play like that again. Those days are over. 2015 was hands down his last season where he could have ended up doing that, and it's just not in his cards anymore. And that's okay. He does. You couldn't play at that level forever. He gave us 5 solid years of production. That's the most that you could ask out of any player. Exactly, Mr. Killer KB. He can still take the pressure off of you. He still garners respect, but not nowhere enough respect where he's gonna take over games. He might do it in a couple of games, but I guarantee you he ain't gonna do it against an opponent that matter. It'll be against a divisional opponent. He'll do that against Tennessee. He'll do that against the Colts. He probably could be in a situation he could do that against the Jags in a game, but I highly doubt that because they handled him in that Jags game this year. They handled him. I think I think even not at his best, but he's still top 10 D lineman. Why? I don't know about all that, Savage. I don't know about that one. I'd have to just we talk. That's namesake. Well, no, we talking about production. He only played 8 games in the last 2 years. I can't say that. I know people are probably gonna get on me and say, "What are you being disrespectful and this and like that?" But come on, man. If we talking about D linemen, I can name several D linemen right now who are outplaying J.J. Watt, Yannick Ngakwe, DeMarcus Lawrence, Khalil Mack, fucking. Because you just said D lineman, you didn't specify D end or anything like that. So I can take that comment with what you said because it was somewhat vague. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not even gonna be a dick about it. Calais Campbell, Yannick Ngakwe, um, fucking man, it's so many people, bro. I can go on and on. Just in the division right now, like we could probably say, just on namesake, of course he's the best D lineman in the league, but he's not what he was. And people are going to be so hurt and feel some kind of way about what I'm saying because they used to seeing JJ be this and be that, and it's sad to see him be the way that he has in the last couple of years. And of course, healthy. Of course, Robbie. That's not even a question if he was healthy. If he never had any injury problems, me and you not even having this conversation. I would even never even have brought up no JJ Watt talks of being traded or none of that. I never even would have brought that up if that was the case. But we know that's not the case. We know that isn't the case at all. Aaron Donald is hands down the best D lineman in the game. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. He's better than J.J. Watt. He's been better than J.J. Watt the last 2 years. Khalil Mack is a bit overrated in my book, and I can give y'all reasons why, but I'm not gonna break all that down in this video because I have plenty of evidence to support that claim. He's good, but he's not what everybody makes him out to be. Main reason why he can get production and he looks so great is because he's on the defense where he has nobody else. He is not that good. If he was not on the Oakland Raiders, when the Oakland Raiders is a top 5 franchise in terms of fandom, he is not that good. All he has is a bull rush. He's okay. He's not okay. He's a great player, but he is not what Jadeveon Clowney has done in this situation, and I'm not even really going to compare the two. I'm going to say I can just look at a couple of games, and I can say it's a few plays that Jadeveon Clowney has made over the last 2 years that I know Khalil Mack would never make. The first time we played the Colts this year, when he sacked Jacoby Brissett and he had the tackle hands down, Khalil Mack could never do that. How he blew Thomas Rawls up in the when they were in the red zone, when they went, and he's never made an impact against us ever. I mean, he got a sack in that Mexico City game. He had some good run stuffs in the playoff game, but he hasn't really. He can't even dominate against bad old linemen, and he was going against Chris Clark in those games, and he still couldn't get it done. So when I'm talking about guys that when he's getting beat by dudes like Chris Clark, how can I sit here and call you like he wasn't even in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, which he shouldn't have won anyway. Landon Collins should have won that Defensive Player of the Year that he won. The only reason why they got it is because he got good mud cards on Madden. He plays for the Oakland Raiders, and dudes just feel like they want him to be better than Clowney so bad, but he's really not. They numbers aren't even far off from each other. They're not even far from each other. Uh, Clowney's majority of his full season and his second season, he had damn near the same amount of sacks, if not the same amount of sacks that Khalil Mack in his first year, which was like 4 sacks. Khalil Mack is not that good. Just like um Carr is not that great of a quarterback. He is not a top 10 quarterback. Anybody out here smoking like bro, you're like doing Boston George dope. Like you're on the great dope that they used to do in the 70s. You know when Vietnam was going on. If you think that Derek Carr is a fucking top 10 quarterback, he is not that good. What's going on, Jay Dizzle? What's going on, man? Man, I appreciate you coming through as always. His play never changed that game against us. Exactly, Tenny. I seen him outrun DB. Exactly. You'll never see. You'll never, bro. Exactly. Wise. Shit, it took 2 years of JJ being hurt for these pass rushers to catch up to his number. Exactly, bro. The only person who was even close before JJ even got hurt was fucking Von Miller. He was the only one who was even in contention who could go hand in hand, and you could arguably make a case that he was better than J.J. Watt in certain areas. That's it. I mean, outside of Von Miller, and you could have made it just in Justin Houston maybe 3 years ago, but outside of that, nobody is even close to him. Broncos screwed this year, to be honest. Of course, they screwed because they got John Elway as their GM. He's never been good. What's going on, Broderick? What's going on, Devontae? I see y'all falling in. It seems like the longer I stay on, the more people start coming through. I guess everybody didn't get the notifications today. YouTube must be on that bullshit again. Yeah, we was talking about this Arian Foster having Andre Johnson on today. I'm not sure if y'all were able to see the video. John is still high off that pay. Yeah, he is, and that's the only good thing he ever did. To be honest, he's great at free agency, but he's not good at drafting anything. Like, who has he drafted that's been a world beater? Shane Ray is probably the. Oh, Arian Foster, his podcast is now what podcast? He had Andre Johnson on. If you just coming through and you didn't hear what we were talking, Andre Johnson was he did an interview with Andre Johnson, and the video is out right now. I'm gonna the link is gonna be in the description box. I couldn't put it in here, before then because I couldn't get the right thing. Oh, my main channel was this gonna end up being the main channel, but my main channel finally got unflagged like a week or two ago. I can do videos and shit on there now, but I'm gonna be doing because I got pretty much everybody that's on there is on this channel right here. I'm gonna probably end up. Yeah, you saw me. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna pretty much make this the main channel, and I'm gonna make the other channel the secondary channel. But yeah, they finally removed my damn my flag. I was flagged for 90 days for with a copyright strike. That's why I couldn't stream on the other stream because that channel was growing fast as shit. But I've been on this channel for so long now, and it's been growing, and I got